Well, now we end off with Nintendo with its Nintendo Direct.
Direct to you.
Directly to you, our impressions.
Okay,
First things first, the stream was terrible.
Yes, Nintendo needs to work that out. In fact, it was so bad that Iwata actually came out and apologized for the bad stream because it kind of screwed up some major announcements. Some games flat out missed entirely.
Yeah, for us when we were watching it, we actually missed some game elements of... it was one of the last games we lost all of the gameplay footage, and we actually got cut from one game into another, so it was really disheveled. It was not pleasant, and hopefully Nintendo learns one of two things from that. One, either get a lot more servers involved on your North American side, or two, actually take the call from game trailers and have them restream your stream. For Pete's sakes, that was terrible.
Yeah.
Nobody could watch it, which was bad for people who were trying to live tweet it like me. So in that case, we're going to go through all the games as we know the Nintendo Direct unveiled it. First, Pokemon X and Y.
Yeah, so we thought it was all about the Wii U, but instead they decided to start off with the big Pokemon discussions.
Yeah, and to date, this is actually one of two 3DS games that were shown. Nothing else in their 3DS lineup was here, which is odd, but I think that might have something to do with future things like Nintendo Direct. Anyway, Pokemon X and Y was shown off, and they announced officially that there is a Fairy type.
Yep,
and the Fairy type is strong against a dragon.
First time ever.
And gives a list of some other things that it's strong and weak against.
It's weak against poisons and stuff.
Yeah.
But the fact is, dragons were OP. And this is actually, they confirmed this in the discussion later. That they felt the dragons were too powerful, and they needed to give them a weakness. And so they did.
They gave them the Fairy. And on that note, Fairy type, other Pokemon are now being, like Gardevoir and Clefairy and Jigglypuff, are now being put into this Fairy category because they were just sitting in as normal mostly, and psychic.
And now it makes sense.
So now they're Fairy. So this is going to rebalance the game a bit more.
Another thing they added was a new
Pokemon Emmy or something like that, where you can actually feed Pokemon,
pet, and play with your Pokemon each individually, and they'll love you more, and they'll do stuff for you, and it's like, wow, you get to interact with your Pokemon for the first time ever.
Like that much, really much more integration to you and the Pokemon, and that is going to be a game changer for some people.
It's a good interaction with Pokemon.
Yeah, so that was really cool. They spent a long time on it too. Of course, this is us during our stream. It was skipping a bit, so it may have been that it was
longer than it had to be.
So
also, they announced in the thing afterwards, the round table, that you'll be attacked by hordes of Pokemon.
Hordes, yeah, 1 versus 5.
Yes, now the wild Pokemon will attack you in groups,
so that's pretty intense.
But also there's air battles where Pokemon will fight in the air.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of changes to it, much like any other Pokemon game. I think the addition of Fairy is going to be the biggest change.
It's actually a fundamental change to the gameplay.
So that's cool, and it comes out in October. They emphasized once more. So then Nintendo went off to show off the Mario game we all wanted to see, Super Mario 3D World.
Yeah, this is going to cause a lot of controversy when it was announced because a lot of people were expecting Galaxy 3, Super Mario 64 2,
or something more grandiose and bigger.
Instead, we got a sequel to Super Mario 3D Land from the 3DS, and that's Super Mario 3D World. And the problem with this is that the 3D doesn't make any sense because the 3D represented the visual 3D from the 3DS.
I almost think that maybe they also perceived 3D in terms of the gameplay as a 3D
mode. But people were not expecting this, and people were not that thrilled about it. But then, as the more they saw about it, the better people really got into it.
There's still some people who are very much against the concept of it because the game itself is still being perceived as this, oh, it's another one, like New Super Mario Brothers. It's another one, you know what I mean?
Yes, it's not something brand new, nothing surprising. But actually, the gameplay has some surprising elements to it.
First of all, it's cooperative play.
Yes, first time, and now each playable character you have has different moves and functions. Like Mario is well-rounded, Luigi, and he can do the flutter jump. Toad is really, really fast, and for the first time in Super Mario Bros. 2, Peach will be playable, and she has that hover ability that she had from the game as well.
Yeah, so it's all those characters. They can also pick things up. They can pluck. They can, and they have lots of power-ups. Each of them look different with their power-ups. They have the Fire Flower, the Tanuki suit's back, the Toad suit is back, and then there's the new power-up, the cat suit.
Yes, upon acquiring a bell, the character transforms into a cat, and this gives the power to slash, to climb up walls, even climb up the flagpole at the end.
Yeah, I'd say that's
like
the best thing with the game. Based on what we know is that there's a lot more chance for exploration
because of the climbing walls.
Obviously, the cat power-up's a little OP, to be honest.
He'll attack everything in the room,
but. I think people are a little bit negative on it because they expect it to be a new Mario. I could see it being underwhelming from an announcement standpoint, but to be honest, it looks
everything we see in the game says it's a good game, and we're like, wow, yeah, it's nice.
It's not. Is it going to sell systems though? That's the question.
And anything else about the game? That's about it. We hope that it has more open exploration of where you want to go rather than
linear path,
a linear line of stages
like in Super Mario 3D Land.
Super Mario 3D Land. I really hope it's more than that. I was a little disappointed that it is a 3D world, but it still looks really good, so I'm not going to question that, because 3D Land was really good.
So next they went on to show off Mario Kart 8.
Yes.
Which is named 8 because of the Mobius strip.
Yes. The game has all the same functionalities as 7.
And Wii.
Where you can tilt functions, also the ability to glide and go on the
bikes back.
And the bikes are back. But the big change up here...
So is the Waluigi.
Waluigi's back, too. But the big thing here... And well, besides those, I heard customization will be back.
Oh, customization's back.
But the big thing they added here is anti-gravity. Basically, you can go up against walls and go up in the ceilings, and your vehicle, the tires turn sideways, and you hover. And this allows you to bump other people and slide around, and it's changes the way games levels are designed.
Yeah.
We saw that there are some of the stages that you run along buildings along the side. Another level, the first level, in fact, is a Mobius strip, which is if you take a strip of paper, turn it, and then tape it together and draw a line, it leads you right back to the same spot. So single-sided. So
the level is this weird twisty turn, but it's really basic, that level.
It looks like an 8.
Yeah, it looks like an 8. It's pretty basic. The game itself, it's got great graphics.
From all the games we've seen, there's a few games that are equal it, but this game looks like it was made from the ground up for this system. It was graphically bam! Like, I mean, we've seen Mario Kart games before, and they're like, they look okay. Models are kind of blocky. But this time, like, everything looked HD.
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt about this.
Now, the only issue is it's coming out in the spring.
So that was a sad point.
So, because the game definitely should have come out this year, but I guess
it'll have. Oh, they said that it does have the community system that the other game had as well.
Yeah, so that's cool. So then they took a moment to step back and show us those more casual titles that I guess they would do.
Yeah.
First, Wii Party U, 80 mini games utilizing the gamepad as a major element, as well as Wii remotes as well. And that comes out in October, something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, October. And then Wii Fit U was shown, and that's coming out in December.
I think it should be the other way around.
Funny thing about Wii Fit U, that game, what?
That game was supposed to come out Q1. And now it's coming out Q4.
It's weird. That game was definitely delayed. That was delayed purely for marketing standpoint.
This game should be out by now, and it's frustrating. And what else do they need to do to it? It's done. I was sitting there. They showcased the box art in like January of last year. This year. But it's like, okay, why are we delaying it so late? It should be out now. And they actually apologized to people who own the system and one of these games. It's like, well, we're sorry about it. We apologize. Mm-hmm. And that was it. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever.
To end their more casual titles, they announced that they were really happy to see how many people were using Miiverse to draw, to the point where they were actually surprised at how many times people were using it to draw. So they decided to initiate the development of Art Academy for the Wii U.
Yes. Art Academy's come out for the 3DS before, and the DS, I think, as well. Mm-hmm. And it allows you to draw stuff. And what's strange about this announcement, it seems like, well, weren't you going to do it anyways? I mean, we saw it when they announced the Wii U in 2011. They showed off someone drawing Link on the touchscreen. I'm like, well, there you go, Art Academy. And now they're like, we're surprised. Here's Art Academy. I'm like, well, yeah.
Yeah. And then until they finally get that game further out, they're actually creating a Miiverse drawing app, which I think they're going to actually message people who are more prominent Miiverse drawers and artists and say, hey, download this on your system and you will be able to draw color on your app.
They're talking about pencils, pastels, chalks, full range of mediums, and just drawing and drawing pictures.
I think that its announcement, this is actually one of the few major new announcements, which is odd, but it was nice to see them announce it, I guess. Probably late 2014, probably. Then they decided to do 2 montages. One for third-party games, which included the Sonic games and some things like Watch Dogs. And then they had it didn't have all the Sonic games, just the one, Sonic Lost World. And then they had a download game montage dedicated to the eShop and indie games. Shovel Knight was there.
Yay!
It's really interesting to see that they actually had a moment to talk about indies. The other 2 had moments of indies, but Nintendo had their own time, and they had, hey guys, we're all about indies too. Here's a trailer of all of them.
Yeah,
it's really interesting to see a Nintendo Direct do that.
Mostly, just to be fair, Nintendo really doesn't talk about indies. At least they haven't in the past. And now they're finally saying we're having indies here.
Yes, that's really nice to see. So after that, they decided to go back to their individual games again. They went to by the way, they don't mention Pikmin 3 at all, which is odd.
Which is a shame.
They talk about it more often outside of Nintendo Direct, but here they weren't shown. At least unless they skipped it and we didn't see it because of the stream.
Wind Waker HD is an HD remake, which comes in 1080p. The only game here I think that comes in true 1080p. And the stream we watched didn't do it any justice. When we actually saw the trailer on high resolution,
Yeah.
then we were like, wow,
Yeah, the
that
game
looks good.
The game adds some graphical fixes, obviously, and on top of that, they also added the ability. There's going to be a power up that lets you move twice as fast.
Yeah, the sails can make you twice as fast. So,
and they said that rather than having any loading issues, everything is loaded at once.
so everything you see is there.
So that's it gives a real good depth to the ocean.
A little too much bloom.
a little too much.
I have
bloom.
to say the bloom is a little too much. They did say you can aim for. I was worried about this, but apparently they proved it.
Yep.
There will be aiming with the gamepad.
There's no tingle tuner.
There's no tingle.
Instead, they replaced it with this Miiverse message where you
Called
actually
tingle
where you
bottles.
throw bottles into the water and it actually washes up on shore for other people to see. Which
That seems like a fun little integration of Miiverse, but still it feels like, well, that's what Miiverse is for. Why can't I just have tingle?
we totally forgot about this about Mario Kart 8, but you can now record footage and post it on Miiverse.
Okay.
But that's once again Miiverse all integration here. No new dungeons in Mario Kart HD.
Yes, they made very clear about this. In fact, in various interviews, they said all the dungeons we would have put in, we've been used later in games.
They did say, however, they plan to streamline those Triforce searches.
Yes.
But I have no idea what that means. Maybe
they didn't explain how they're going to change it, but he sounds like he said the biggest problem that people had with the game was not that there wasn't enough dungeons. Of course, we want more dungeons,
Yes.
but the fact is not so much the dungeons, that the payoff was so low. Like, you travel across the ocean, get something, and then the payoff was bad. So they said, they want to clear that up and make it much more accessible and make the payoff much greater.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll fix that up. And I think that was all they had really add for
Yeah.
it. But again, visually it looks stunning.
Yeah. The Wonderful 101.
Another game looks stunning.
They finally decided to show off more content of that game. They announced, as we predicted, multiplayer.
Yes.
5-player multiplayer, and they announced a new character,
Pink.
who uses a whip.
Yes, and the game is action-packed as ever. It looks crazy.
It's good. I can't really.
It's come to a point right now with the game. It's kind of the games like this. It's like, all right, just give it to me.
Yeah, it's about to come out anyways in September. Then came the announcement of what Retro's been working on.
Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Okay, we sound disappointed because I think everybody was a little disappointed.
It's a bit of a buzzkill because the reality was we expected them to be making something more mature to help round out the game, their lineup, to make it more mature, to make it more accessible for people who maybe want to make darker games.
When Retro made Donkey Kong, it was like, oh, great. Donkey Country Returns was amazing. It was really good. And then people said, okay, what are they going to work on next? We'll be like, well, they could make a sequel to Donkey Kong, but that's simple. Like, they can't be doing that. And they're like, Nintendo needs a hardcore game, something that's new. Why can't we have them make a new IP or maybe a new Metroid? Something to really show off the HD capabilities of the Wii U. And they went the easy route. The easiest way to do it was to make a sequel to a game they already did.
Yep, Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze.
Now, again, it looks really nice. The point is there's Vikings attacking and that you have a new dynamic camera when you shoot these barrels.
Yeah, and Dixie's back.
Dixie's back, which is nice too. There's another character too, but they won't explain who it is yet.
Yeah, so in the end, it's really like the game comes off as it's Donkey Kong Country Returns 2, and considering the fact that this whole presentation is mostly sequels of games that are kind of not sequels, but sequels nonetheless.
Yes,
it seems like it's an odd choice for it to come out.
And we're like, and everyone was like,
even though the game itself is great, from what I understand, the buzz is a bit of a buzzkill.
It's where's our really amazing visually jarring game? And, and this conference didn't have it besides Mario. Well, then we had Bayonetta 2,
which is, I guess, the opposite. A game that's a sequel that's expected, but at the same time completely off the wall.
Wow, I forgot how Bayonetta was.
Yes, it's a bit over the top.
Bit over the top.
It's so over the top. It's back again to be over the top again.
It's over the top, like crazy over the top. It's action packed. They showed footage of the game, obviously, and it's coming out next year.
And she has short hair.
And she has short hair. Apparently, she got a haircut. Whatever.
And then they had Monolith Soft's game pop in, currently called X.
Again, wow.
It looks beautiful. Probably one of the best looking games in the whole listing here.
Again, it's one of the ones.
It's a great RPG. It's got this mech elements to it. You can transform into vehicles.
Open world.
It looks great. And no word as to when that's coming out. 2014, most definitely.
We were watching it like, wow.
And then the final announcements.
Yay!
Super Smash Brothers for Wii U and Super Smash Brothers for 3DS.
I wish they gave it an actual name, but I guess we'll have to live with what we get.
So they start off by announcing a new character, Villager.
Yes.
And now when we were watching it, when we were watching the stream, it glitched out, so we didn't actually see the Villager appear.
We saw him getting the invitation, but we never actually saw him in gameplay.
Yeah, so after the fact, we saw him. First of all, the 3DS game which
has cell shading.
Has cell shading.
And they said the reason why was because you're on a smaller screen, you need to be able to find your character much easier. So they made it outlined so your characters are always visible, which makes sense. And they also mentioned that all the games, both games are going to, with the 3DS and Wii U, have the same character rosters, but the stages will be very different. So there won't be any crossplay.
Yeah. And obviously the content will be different too, because the Wii U version is going to obviously be bigger in content.
Yeah. Well, they say that the levels in the 3DS game will be based on the handhelds, whereas the Wii U version will be based on the consoles. And we're probably going to assume we're going to see more content on the Wii U version just because it's bigger and has more space on it, because they have to limit the variety of characters, or what the characters can do, because of the 3DS.
Yeah, well, what I saw of they've changed Bowser to make him more upright, made him faster.
He's faster.
Villager, they showed up again. He has lots of weird moves that are relevant to Animal Crossing, which is funny. They even had a move of him as Balloon Fighter, so that's pretty cool. But the big hit happened afterwards.
Yes.
Where they decided to announce a new challenger approaching, and it was
Mega Man!
Yeah, it was Mega Man. The Mega Man, the classic Mega Man style, was there, and he has not only a shooter, his normal Mega Buster, but he also has a lot of power-ups from his previous games that he uses as his special moves and normal smashes.
Which is cool, and I think it's really nice to incorporate them in the game. In fact, actually, Sakurai said that he was one of the more unique characters he created.
Yeah, similar for that. And that got a lot of praise. I think got more...
it was where we were when we were watching with a bunch of people. That was the biggest
announcement. Yeah, that was the biggest announcement.
It was like, wow! And it was like straight solid for a long time.
In a long time. It was really good. And then... Well, it wasn't at the Nintendo Direct.
It happened a few hours later.
A few hours later, Wii Fit Trainer is also a character.
Yes, this was strange. It was kind of a troll to the press. The press watched it and they're like, all right, this is going to be... they said, okay, we have one more game to show you, and they showed the Wii Fit Trainer doing...
We're like, oh, Wii Fit You.
Wii Fit You. And then it pans out, and next thing you know, the
Wii Fit Trainer is a player.
And then it says, oh, wait, this is Smash Brothers, and... Then Sakurai comes on stage like a boss, and then they show off the characters.
So that was pretty much Nintendo's Direct. There was no announcement of any 3DS Direct. There was no extra Direct. There was called Developer Directs,
which was nice,
where the developers actually spent about 5 to 10 minutes talking about their game, some inspiration behind it, some gameplay elements. It was really useful to help explain some of these games, and I think that helps a lot more than what Nintendo did.
I think what they should have done is they should have actually just incorporated everything together.
That would have taken like 2 hours.
Yeah, but it would have been a solid 2 hours of awesomeness. The fact is that like all the games they mentioned here, people weren't really thrilled about because they were all what we'd call conservative.
I would say that this is probably their best E3 showing for the last 3 years. Definitely, 2010 obviously is going to be hard to top, but of the ones after that, this is the top one.
11 only had like 5 games. Last year they had the same games again.
Yeah, this year was actually new content that was from the top tiers of their top tier franchises, and they had some major announcements in them. I mean, you had Pokemon X and Y, big Pokemon game.
With a new Pokemon type.
Yeah, a new 3D Mario, a new Mario Kart. And then you had a new Wind Waker HD, technically not really that significant. But then you have a new Donkey Kong Country Returns type game.
Which got huge praises.
Yeah. And then we bring first footage of Bayonetta 2 in gameplay form. We have
the first Smash Brothers.
And Smash Brothers.
With Mega Man.
Mega Man. All of those announcements are very significant.
But the problem is with all that is that
we knew all of them.
Nintendo kind of told us back in January if all this stuff was going to be shown at E3, and so we're like, okay. I mean, there's a few no shows. They didn't show Yarn Yoshi. They didn't show
SMT Crossfire.
And they also didn't talk about their 3DS games besides Pokemon X and Y. They didn't talk about the new Zelda, Between Worlds, or Yoshi's New Island, or even Mario and Luigi Dream Team.
And those games come out this year, but instead they wanted to focus on Pokemon. The thing here that's most noticeable is that, I mean, obviously the only games here that were not known before in any way, shape, or form was Art Academy for Wii U and Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Those are the only 2 games that I feel were absolutely not known walking into this E3. And those 2 games being the only announcements can be a bit of a shame for some people. Some people wanted there to be some news of the new Zelda.
A new Metroid, or a new Star Fox.
Some people wanted to see a new Mario Galaxy and got Mario 3D Land 2, but for the Wii U. People wanted to see some new collaboration, and they didn't get that. There's a lot of things that they wanted to see that didn't happen. And maybe because people are unable to figure out how Nintendo thinks, one of the biggest things against Nintendo on the E3 is Nintendo Direct. It's so good to see announcements happen over the course of the year, but it diminishes what E3 is because of it.
Like if Nintendo had not announced anything in January and waited for all this stuff to be secret until E3,
we would have seen Super Mario 3D World. We would have seen Mario Kart 8. We would have seen Mario Party U and Wii Party U. We would have seen Wind Waker HD. We would have seen Donkey Country Tropical Freeze and
Bayonetta 2.
Bayonetta 2 we knew about,
Right.
And X.
And
we
Smash
would have
Brothers.
seen all of those games without knowing that they were coming. We would have absolutely flipped our lids off of it.
but since they were already announced, it's kind of this.
It's kind of like we expected these things. So I think that in the future, it's going to be hard for Nintendo to not do that.
Because that's Nintendo Direct.
Now, I think that if the Wii U doesn't have this trouble going into next year, we won't have to worry about Nintendo making announcements like that again. So maybe next E3 will have better choice, will be better off because they'll be able to make announcements that are absolutely new.
So again, the reason why people are kind of angry at Nintendo is because it was what we'd call conservative, meaning everything was expected. A 3D Mario, 3D Mario Kart.
And pretty much what I've heard is that pretty much all these games are good. And
everyone's
good
played
to
them,
great.
actually
But
impressed
the
them.
fact is, the presentation, the streaming was poor, and the games were expected. And that thing that people are concerned about, that can Nintendo survive this holiday season,
With expected.
with expected, and that's what we won't be able to do.
And also the games that people really, really want, like Bayonetta 2, X, and Super Smash Bros. Are until next year.
Yeah. So it's pretty much 2013's Nintendo's pretty good, but
Or Mario Kart.
and 2014 is even better. So, on that note, let's do some evaluations. Our evaluations are going to be obviously full of a lot of things that didn't happen.
This happens
This happens almost every year. First things first, they only had one Nintendo Direct, though technically they had a lot of developer directs, but besides the point. Game & Wario wasn't even there.
Nope.
New Super Luigi U wasn't there. They had a trailer. Pikmin 3 was not at the Nintendo Direct, but it was there in trailer and gameplay form. Wonderful 101, Bayonetta 2, being 2014 was there. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker was there. New 3D Mario and New Mario Kart and X were all there.
Yes.
But Yoshi Yarn wasn't there.
Yeah.
It wasn't even playable. Wii Fit U and Wii Party U were both there. There was no Wii Sports U. Expect that next year. Retro's game was there as Donkey Kong.
Well, it wasn't Mario Kart, at least.
It was a Mario Kart, at least. Sonic Lost World, Mario and Sonic, and the other Sonic game were all not there specifically. Technically, Lost World was there, but in a montage. SMT Cross Fire Emblem wasn't there.
They just announced that in January.
There was no new collaboration other than Mega Man being in Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers was there, and then Mario Luigi Dream Team and Mario Golf World Tour, which got delayed in 2014, those weren't at the Nintendo Direct. Pokemon X and Y were there. The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past 2, or as it's now called, Link Between Worlds, that wasn't in the Direct. Yoshi's Island 3, or what is now Yoshi's New Island, that wasn't in the Direct. And there wasn't a new Kirby game at all. Our outlandish guess for a new Metroid or Star Fox game, unfortunately, is once again forgotten.
By the wayside.
The theme, however, was right. Wii U's got game as 3DS 2. They pretty much covered all the gamut with the Wii U game announcements already out. And their big game for New 3D Mario is totally correct.
Yes, that's totally the big thing they're pushing.
Meanwhile, in the bingo card we have, we once again failed to get bingo. You'll see in the image we got here that there was quite a few times where it could have happened. We really kind of banked on Retro's game being something that wasn't Donkey Kong. Because we had both new Star Fox and a new Metroid listed there, and a new non-Retro IP would have been nice as well.
We also were banking on maybe having a 3DS Nintendo Direct.
Yeah,
Because we have this 2 or 3 new spots for 3DS,
games, like a 3DS Miiverse or Yoshi Yarn. That wasn't even there. There was lots of things we thought would be announced that would have been more relevant, but I guess Nintendo was being more conservative in their announcements.
The lack of a 3DS Miiverse seems kind of disappointing as well, and the fact that Nintendo is not even talking about bringing Pokemon Rumble for the Wii U over to America is a surprise.
I'm going to say it's not coming at all. But I do think, keep in mind that this is Nintendo. Last D3, they had a Nintendo Direct 2 weeks later and announced a new console. So we don't
know what's going to happen there.
So my prediction in regards to that is that they're going to have another Nintendo Direct within the next 2 months that will cover more of the 3DS games that they haven't discussed in this Nintendo Direct here. And obviously they are playing a 3DS Miiverse by the end of the year, so that's going to be relevant. And they have a summer update for Wii U, which they got to talk about. So there's at least some expectations going forward. But obviously, this was one of their best Nintendo presences at E3.
Yes.
It was the most odd, though, I guess, the way they presented it. So next year, Nintendo, feel free to do a press conference. It would be really nice if you did. But, Nintendo Direct isn't bad either. Just make sure that next time make it more bigger. Make it bigger and actually have some.
That was the other thing we noticed about the Nintendo Direct is that compared to other Nintendo Directs, it felt just like a Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
It wasn't like there wasn't any big. It wasn't like bigger. It didn't feel like it was any better. Like it was. Yeah. It should have been bigger, better, and badder. Wait. But you get it. It needs to be more intense of a direct, and this time it wasn't intense. It was just, I'm here telling you directly to you, here's new Mario. It should be like, we got something special to show for you today. Here's Miyamoto, let's talk about it for a bit. And they didn't have that at all. And that was a bit disappointing.
Yep. So that concludes Nintendo. Click on the left side to go back to Sony. Click on the right side to give our final thoughts.